So, marketing your home to today's buyers, part two. Hi, I'm BernI Halaas, CEO, realtor, and designer of New Century Real Estate and Interiors by BernI. Feel free to check out my LinkedIn account for my educational and professional history. Today, we're going to discuss a very important topic. When you are selling your home, whether it is the first time or not, it is one of the largest investments you have, and you want to make sure you do all you can to get the most money in the shortest amount of time. So we're going to talk about marketing to today's buyers. Our background here at New Century includes real estate, the construction industry, interior design, and the mortgage industry. We are here serving the central Minnesota and the Twin Cities market. Little recap from last time we met regarding part one of this series. I talked at great length about the importance of the 3 first impressions, which is the drive up, the walk up, and the first step into the house. The importance of these is if you make those all successful, the buyer is going to walk in with a positive note, and therefore they will be looking at your home in a positive way. If those are not appealing and there are issues, maybe clutter or other things going on, then they get a negative effect, and they're going to start walking through your home looking for it, trying to find every other little detail, nitpicking your house apart, which is what you don't want. As we talked last time we met, it's important to do the minor repairs. Consider cleaning the furnace and air conditioning. All too often this gets called on a home inspection and will need to be done. Do you need to change wall color? What about wallpaper, window treatments? We talked about that last time we met as well. So just know that the wall color and window treatments and wallpaper really kind of depends on the whole picture. So by inviting one of us out to take a look at your home, we can give you suggestions. We're not here to say that you got to change every wall color and take down all wallpaper, although wallpaper does have a tendency to date your home. Wallpaper, just so you know, is coming back in as an accent wall, but not in an entire room, for example. Exterior repairs. Repairs are always important no matter what they are. Keep in mind too, whether it's winter or summer, the lawn and the walk up, the drive up needs to look really well. So whether or not it's summer and you need to mow the grass, keep those weeds pulled, trim the bushes and trees, keep it tidy and neat looking, so people can get the feel of the space. In the wintertime, we have other challenges. You need to keep the driveways cleared, the sidewalks cleared, obviously for safety reasons, but also too for the look. This is a great time when you could put something by your front door, maybe a pot with some pine and some other colors coming out of it, just to dress up that curb appeal, because we lose some of that when we lose all the trees, leaves, I should say, and flowers at our front door. Also, we talked a lot about depersonalizing and simplify your decor. So remove excess furniture. If you remember the pictures from last time, on the upper left and the upper right, those are the same rooms. Just with the declutter brought down to minimal, and just exposing the room, showing the room its size. You notice that the coffee table was taken out, which was a very large coffee table. That opened up the room and made the room feel a little bit larger. These are all things that we want to take a look at to get the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. Some of the things we do are very simple, and some are a little bit more complex. So again, a look at the kitchen, where again, just taking the clutter out, setting the little bar area so it looks inviting and clean and ready to go for a showing. Meeting with your realtor, you want to make sure that you've received a comparative market analysis, the seller property disclosure statement, the well disclosure if that does apply, sewer and well, location maps if that applies to your property, lead-based paint if that also applies. That of course is 1978 built homes and prior that would need the lead-based paint addendum. The listing contract with the beginning and ending date, and address what the commission is and how that is divided, who gets what, and any other fees would need to be disclosed on that. And the net seller sheet. These are all things that we covered last time we met, just kind of a recap. So let's move forward. Marketing your home. We'll put together a comprehensive CMA and show you in great detail what is happening in your marketplace and where your home fits in that marketplace. We utilize up to 5 sold properties within the closest proximity to your home as we can find in the area. Taking a look at the homes in the neighborhood that are active will give us what your competition is. It's also looking at the pending ones and how quickly they sold, or maybe not sold, but pended, I should say. So we want to take a look at what are today's buyers. Well, the largest buying population were born between 1980 and 2000. Today, that means that they're between 18 and 37. Yes, you can be 18 and buy a home. That is the youngest age. That's the age requirement to purchase such a big obligation. We're finding that these buyers are encumbered with debt, oftentimes a lot of student loan debt, so they have less money to spend. The median age that they marry at is 30 years old. Quality is oftentimes more important than price. They're very tech savvy. They search the internet before they make a purchase. They text message, social media, instant messaging and blogs. There's so many different ways to communicate. So you keep that all in mind when you're looking at with your realtor of how you're going to market your home. Know who that potential next buyer could be. So wish lists. They oftentimes will want updated kitchens and bathrooms. A lot of times that is hard because it doesn't always fit within their price point, but these are their wants, their wish list. They like green features, energy efficient homes, open floor plans, convenient locations. They want a good walk score, smaller yards. They don't want a lot of upkeep because they have other things that they enjoy doing versus taking care of lawns and maintenance. Common home searches, these are just a few of many out there. 92% of buyers start their home search online, and there are hundreds of sites, like I mentioned, on the internet that can search for homes, and more all the time. So these are some of the top sites. Know that when you list your home with New Century Real Estate, you are hitting the majority of these sites, all the ones you see here, plus many more. And that's something that your agent will discuss with you as we determine the marketing plan for your home. We also syndicate to other brokers so that if you're searching on another website, another real estate website, you will find our listings and vice versa. Connecting with our buyers online, it's really important that we know the market and that we're marketing your property in every avenue possible. So we are going to use many sources such as Facebook, Google+, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. There are more and more sites coming up all the time, and so we're keeping ourselves on the forefront to determine which ones are most important and which ones has the activity and is depicting where the buyers are shopping. But we don't forget about other marketing. So of course the yard sign is still very important. People still tend to drive areas that they want to live in. They want to check out the neighborhood, so they will check out the area. Open house events, always a good source to bring buyers in where they don't feel obligated to be working with any particular person or get their agent involved at that point. Of course, other agents, friends and relatives and neighbors, and print media. So there's a lot of things that we can discuss and how we would go about advertising your property to find that right next buyer. And they're all very important. Also very important because we are a very visual world right now, and most of our buyers are very visual on social media and outlets of that nature. The photos have to be of high quality. We've got to put captions for the photos highlighting the features, just putting together a well-rounded presentation of the property. If the property is in the country, on a lake, or even sometimes in a community, aerial photos may be very important. Also videos representing the property. Sometimes these might be live events, sometimes they're created ahead of time and used as posts to social media and or other outlets within the internet. Your home. So I can clean, I can put away things, you say, but I don't know how to add the finishing touches. What really makes a difference in a room? So for example, empty rooms are very hard for people to imagine. Now I know that there's some of you out there that are just fine imagining. I would be one of them as well, but not everybody is in that category. So here I'm showing a picture of a room that's empty. I picked that particular room because it's long and narrow. It's got a couple openings, a large window, and a whole wall that's not usable for furniture, with the fireplace and the bookshelves. A lot of people would say, oh my gosh, you know, this room is long and narrow. I don't know how to put my furniture. If I put it all down by the fireplace, the rest of the room is going to look empty. So if furniture gets placed into a room, such as the picture down below, it gives the vision of what the room can look like. And I think you would admit that the bottom picture probably feels a little bit more warm, welcoming, and inviting than the top picture. And so really rooms with furniture help the buyers fall in love with your home. Now, of course, we are talking about staging here now too. And sometimes it is best to stage, especially if you have a vacant home. If you've moved out and you're going to have to show it empty, you might as well have the possibility of having it staged. Staging really doesn't cost as much as one might think, and it will bring you a faster sale and potentially more money. Staging works a few different ways. With Interiors by BernI, what we can do is stage your property, a complete stage. We bring in all the furniture, all the little accessories to draw the eyes to the certain areas that we really want to attract for the buyers to see and note, such as the picture in the bottom right. We are bringing their eye by a basket of fruit so that you can see the detail of the backsplash. We can work sometimes with your personal belongings, certainly decluttering and fine-tuning your rooms so that they work the best to show your room and your home in its best nature. You've gone through the showings process and you have an offer. Now what do I do next? Well, like we talked about last week, we sit down and we put together a net sheet to show you what your estimated net proceeds would be based on what we listed it at. Now we're going to sit down and base it on the purchase agreement. So we're going to pull all the details out of the purchase agreement, and we're basically going to run option number 2, which you see up here. Option number 2 is netting them a little bit less, and one of the big differences is if you look under lender costs, the offer is asking for 3% closing costs to be paid for the seller at the buyer at the seller's expense. Excuse me, I was turning that around. So that made quite a bit of a difference on the bottom line. So we will be taking a close look at that. Also, when you have an offer, you have the right to accept, reject, or counter. Now, I would always encourage you to never walk away from a deal. So even if the offer was substantially low, you're better off to counter than simply decline and walk away. You never know when we can come to an agreement by all parties and get it taken care of and seal the deal so you get what you want. But if we're doing a counter offer, there is a form. It's called the addendum to the purchase agreement for the counter offer. All terms and conditions remain the same as stated in the purchase agreement, except for what we write on this, a counter offer. So I've highlighted a few areas about the sale price, if that's being countered, or the earnest money, the percentage of the percentage of the sale price for the earnest money, mortgage financing percentage. Really, we can change anything within the purchase agreement on a counter offer. You'll want to know all the consequences that lie with doing a counter offer. So we'll also talk about at the time exactly how that looks and how that will affect, and what is a good counter and what is maybe a difficult counter to do. And it's not always about price, just so you know. I'm not always talking about price when I say counter offer. After the fully executed purchase agreement, the first thing that we're likely to have done is a home inspection. Now that home inspection, do not confuse that with an appraisal. The appraisal is something totally different. That is done by the lender for the mortgage to be placed on it, to identify value and condition in some cases. The home inspection is done at the buyer's expense. And the home inspection is an independent inspector that goes out on behalf of the buyer and inspects your home. Now, this is where you remember I said about the furnace. Go ahead and get that clean because it oftentimes comes up on the inspection. And this would be the inspection that I'm talking about. If there's a sewer, we need to have that compliant, and that needs to be done by the seller. That can be done before we even get to a purchase agreement, but it definitely needs to get done because we won't be able to close without it. Most often a well test is a buyer's request, and oftentimes will be the buyer's expense. And we already talked about the appraisal inspection. So that is done for the lender and paid by the buyer. It's part of their closing costs. Confirmation with the buyer's lender or buyer's agent that the lender has been approved, that would be the next step. Confirmation the closing company that everything is in order for the closing. This is just kind of a quick little scenario of the snapshot of how that circle works to get you to your sold, get you to the table, and on to your next venture. The next thing we're going to talk about is just simply how do you choose a realtor? The first steps is to find that right one. You should work with somebody that can speak honestly and candidly, bring objectivity. They do need to be a good listener, and ask questions? Has your best interest at heart? Do they accommodate your schedule? Realtors don't all work the same. They have different hours and different plans. So make sure that whoever you're working with will accommodate your schedule. Quickly respond to inquiries and questions. There's nothing worse than waiting for an answer. You're trying to do the sale of the largest and probably the most important opportunity that you own, property you own, and you're going to want those answers immediately. Work with you in all aspects of the real estate transaction, get you all the way to closing, make sure you know when to transfer utilities. There's so many little things and details that go into it. The questions regarding how do I find a moving company? Do you have a recommendation? Do you know somebody that has used moving companies? Who would they recommend? And somebody that's organized, predictable, and reliable. Those are all very important things. At New Century Real Estate, we want to bring everything back to the core basics. And what I mean by that is we have developed basically a pyramid to show you what we mean. The base of our pyramid is based on ethics, integrity, accountability, trust, patience, honesty, and respect. Built on that, we want to deliver excellent customer service by being professional, confidential, and effective communication. Those are all things that go into being great at customer service. Efficiency, timely communication, and simply just doing things the right way. Creativity. We like to look at us here at New Century Real Estate as deviant thinkers. We like to be outside the box. We like to be innovative, and we like to show you how we can market your property a little differently to attract the right buyer for your home in a timely fashion. So everything below that line is constant, as the diagram shows, and everything above that is continually changing, which are our tools. Our tools are always going to change for the clients or for the agents. They will always be changing as technology changes, as the marketplace changes, and so forth. Do know that not all real estate agents work the same. Agencies charge different fees. Commissions will vary. Commissions are not set. When interviewing agents, be sure that you ask them what their fees are. I want to thank you for taking the time today to watch part 2. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free to reach out to me. There's my email, my phone number, or stop by our new location located at 823 North Benton Drive in Sauk Rapids. And I look forward to hearing from you.